Recording. I'm fine without the PowerPoint. In fact, I have a local PowerPoint, but that's yes. Can people hear me online?
Yes, I can now.
Oh, great. All right. And I won't be saying anything that isn't already in the packet under the item. In fact, right there at the very beginning, I quote verbatim the Measure L ordinance, and this will sound familiar. So, in addition to services, it can serve services ACE, BART, and Amtrak. Um, this fund can also be used to increase ridership and or fund new Amtrak service and increase bus van connections to existing ACE services in the Bay Area, to the Bay Area. Um, the, the ordinance was cleared. None of these funds can be used for high-speed rail. So we adopted some guidelines. This is the framework for deciding how these funds can or should be spent. And these guidelines mirror what was done last time we did this funding round. Some highlights from the guidelines is that now we have $4 million saved up and that we're proposing to program. I'm proposing to come back in 2028. Last time we did the funding round, we weren't clear when our transit operators should expect another funding round. I'm proposing changes to the project schedule requirements. The last schedule requirements seemed onerous and difficult to enforce. In the Measure L ordinance, it talks about if a project isn't done and the funds are returned, they should be returned with interest. But our guidelines last time didn't talk about that. And we ran into an issue when we had a project funded from Community Connections. They didn't end up doing the project, but they held on to the funds for 2 or 3 years. We needed those funds back with interest, so these guidelines clarify that. The 3-member scoring committee that was used last time talked about members being from a large agency or a small agency, but didn't define what was large or small. So I revised the guidelines to propose who would be part of that 3-member scoring committee. And then we are asking applicants to provide information on how they plan to sustain proposed services without Measure L support, should there not be Measure L in the future, or if their projects not be selected to be funded in the future. There's a schedule in the packet. That schedule has us releasing these draft guidelines available, which we did as part of this committee process. We're asking for the board to take action at its April 17th, its April 17th meeting. And then we would release a call for projects within a month of that, May 15th. That's going to give us some time just to make sure we have a good solid application. But we could do a call for projects anytime after the board adopts. And we're proposing June 30th submittal deadline. So it's a short time frame, but we feel like this is a pretty straightforward program. Scoring project selection would take place in the first couple weeks of July, and then we would bring it back through committees and the policy board in August. We'd be executing agreements in September. We believe agencies could start using these funds as early as October 2026. And with that, I will take any questions.
Great, thank you very much, Jose Luis. Does the committee have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
I do. This is Khalid Rashid. My question is, it says that it's going to be the Bay Area. Do we already have transportation to Sacramento?
We do have, if I may.
Please, with microphone, yeah.
Yeah, we do have transportation to Sacramento. Actually, Stan RTA provides services to SJRTD, correct? Where they connect to Sacramento.
Correct, yep.
So through San Joaquin County?
Yes.
Okay. And
then there's, go ahead.
Well, and so that still wouldn't be a rail connection necessarily. I was wondering if someone could answer whether our Amtrak service is also a connection to Sacramento.
It is. So
it is? Okay.
yeah, so Stan RTA has a route that goes to the Amtrak station in Modesto, and the Amtrak service does run from Modesto to Sacramento.
Okay.
So that would be an eligible funding source for a Stan RTA route that runs from routes in Modesto to the Amtrak station, and then people then make those rail connections to wherever they're going. San Antonio also has bus connections from Modesto to the BART station in Pleasanton and the A station in Lathrop
Okay.
as well. So we have a few different routes that connect to rail stations that would be applicable for this funding source.
And then also, it says no funds will be used for the high-speed rail. I just want to know, like, what was that? Why?
I wasn't here in 2017 when the voters passed this. I could infer it was meant to be a control that these funds couldn't be rated for what is a very expensive project, high-speed rail. And they're always looking for more money. They would not be able to use the money for this, from this.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions.
Oh,
All
my
right,
apologies.
go ahead.
Jose Luis, I was able to get the PowerPoint back up if you wanted to review the slides that you missed.
Thank you. I think we're good, but maybe advance it to the schedule so that we just kind of have that as a visual.
I have a couple of questions, Jose Luis. In the guidelines, it says that successful applicants will receive the full amount of funds awarded to them by the board. Project must begin within 12 months of the award and must be invoiced within six months of project completion. But is there a length of time that the project can last? Is it?
So that was what I removed. I think
Okay.
there was an implication in the earlier guidelines that the project would end after a year or something. Because I'm planning on coming back in a couple of years, I expect these funds could be used for up to 2 years or more.
Okay.
We have $4 million to help connect our residents to passenger rail.
Right.
And I'm interested in see what our transit operators are going to propose, how they would propose to spend that $4 million.
Okay.
But we're not doing this again next year. It'll be a couple of years before we bring this back. And when we come back in 2 years, there won't be $4 million. The reason why we have $4 million right now is it's been, what, 4 or 5 years? And we get about $800,000 a year under the current economy. So if we come back in a couple years, we should have about 2 million, a little less. It depends.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. Next question under the eligible applicants, there's a talk about the applicants must provide STANCOG a professional services agreement or MOU that clearly identifies project partners, roles, responsibilities, and project scope. Is that something you need before, like during the application process, or is that something you do afterwards? It kind of alludes to the section above it kind of talks about co-applicants. And I'm wondering if maybe that paragraph was talking about if you're going to come in with a co-applicant that you have this MOU already set. And I'm just assuming that. It's on page 6 of the guidelines.
You pull that up. Would you mind reading that phrase again or the wording?
It's under the eligible applicants section. It's the second paragraph from the bottom, starting with successful applicants must provide STANCOG with a professional services agreement. Yeah.
So when people like me write that sort of language, we mean an applicant that has become successful must then provide it. So it's not in order to be successful, it's continuing success. So if you're successful in applying, we will expect a professional service agreement or a MOU that clearly identifies the roles and responsibilities. So it can be a lot to come up with one of those in advance of applying.
So the applicant is providing the agreement, not STANCOG providing the agreement. I just make sure
we might, if it's agreement between you and another organization, we would provide an agreement. Because we will have an agreement between us and the recipient agency.
Right.
But this paragraph, Gene, seems to be referring to an agreement between the two co-applicants. So let's read this again. Applicants must provide STANCOG with we call it a PSA, professional service agreement, or an MOU that clearly, that would be with us.
Okay.
We would do an agreement between us, and in that agreement, we would expect roles to be and scope to be clarified. Yeah. I'm trying to think if I might have included an example of a PSA. All applicants. Nope. We would do that after the applicant would be successful.
Okay. Sounds fine.
Jose Luis, I had a comment on that if you don't mind. Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you, Wayne. Yep.
Okay. I could provide, if it's helpful at all, I could provide the MOU that Turlock executed with Stancog when we got the rail services funding during the last round. If you wanted to reference that as a boilerplate or a starting point, I'd be happy to share that. If I'm not sure if that's in the files on your end or not.
That would be helpful when we get, yes, that would be helpful. And also your comment seems to further confirm PSA after applicant's selection.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wayne.
Sure.
Just a few more questions. Sorry, just if you're okay. Now under award criteria on page 10 of the funding guidelines, the funding element, it just says a description of how the project is being funded. Some of the other elements here talk about, well, I'm trying to understand like how would you get all 20 points? How would that be decided? Is it based on how much funding we're asking for? Is it based on match? Is it based on it? Just trying to understand that more. And I'm not asking for a clarification, but it might be helpful to have that type of description in the guidelines here on how would you get full points in this area. Right now, it's just how it's being funded, but there's nothing for the scoring committee to go from.
Point noted.
And then,
How about between now and policy board, we can put in some descriptions to help guide the selection committee on how to score from 0 to 20?
Like scoring rubric.
Mm-hmm.
sure, that's fine. You want to talk at some point about what that might look like, or
So we have another funding program that's out right now, the 27-2030 funding round.
Yep.
Darrow from your
Yep.
staff is on there.
Yep.
And we provide a lot more guidance to the scoring committee on how to score similar things. Funding is one of them, like a funding plan. And that committee is basically told, we're looking for the sources of funding, whether they're committed. And I can go grab some language from that.
okay.
Not all of it will apply. I don't have language that I can use for safety and usage.
Well, safety is another point I'll make here in just a minute. But looking at funding,
Yeah.
I mean, if match isn't a really requirement here, I wonder what we would put there, because match isn't, you don't necessarily need a match because that's not required here. We could be leveraging other funds, but I don't know if we should make that a really requirement.
What if I committed to meet with Stan RTA and Turlock Transit to decide what sort of information would be helpful?
Sure, that'd be fine. Yep, that'd be great. Safety, I mean, safety is obviously very important. I'm just not sure how it relates to this funding source, or how how a bus connection to a rail station could improve safety. And
Now here's where I make an excuse.
Sure.
I took the last guidelines,
Okay.
perhaps assumed mistakenly that they were vetted before, and turned them around and
Okay.
created some new guidelines.
Okay. Gotcha.
But I'm sitting here right now, having read the Measure L ordinance,
Right.
not having seen the word safety anywhere in there,
Okay.
and wondering if this committee would like to suggest that we remove safety for 20 points or couch it differently. I'm open. These are draft guidelines for comment.
Okay.
I'll tell you, and I do not have an answer of why we would have safety and whether it's important.
Okay.
Other than I like safety, but
It definitely super important. I'm not discounting that at all. I'm just trying to look at the project or the projects that we could do. The other three, usage, connectivity, priorities. I think those are all great to try to score a project, to score an operation, to get people from their home to a rail station via the bus system. Awesome. But those first two, I'm just questioning a bit. And so I just wanted to talk through it. And I would probably advocate for removing the safety component of this, but we can see what the committee discusses as well. to see where we go with that. And then I had one other item.
Adam, I had another comment to make on that. When it comes to the award criteria, would it be possible maybe that there's a few different things that seem to be outstanding? How it's phrased, and then whether or not a certain element should be included at all. So would it be possible to maybe for the committee to consider approving the overall guidelines with the exception of the award criteria would be subject to a subsequent meeting between Stan RTA, Turlock Transit, and Stancog, and so that we could kind of hash out maybe a better award criteria, and then that criteria would be provided to the policy board. Is that something that we could, because I think further discussion is going to be needed on that. I'm not sure we could hash through all of that today. Is that
Yeah.
something that would be a possibility?
Yeah, I think that's something we could talk through as a committee to see if we can make that motion as well. That's a great idea, Wayne. Just one other point I wanted to make, or I don't know if it's really a question on, let's see, on page 3 of the Measure L Rail Services application, which is also in the packet. There's a new sentence there in red. It's on page 3. It says, provide information on how your agency plans to sustain the services without Measure L support. Standard TA plans to apply for this funding to fill a funding gap that we have for our operation for next fiscal year due to the reduction in transit funds. We can use some of these Measure L funds to fund our funding gap. And we talked about that at last week's Standard TA board meeting. Our plan is to just do this for the next year, and that's it for right now. And so having that sentence in there is concerning as we don't intend to sustain services without the support. We do intend to reduce services, as I stated in the board meeting last week with Stan, our RTA. If LTF or STA starts to increase, then we would increase the services back to where they were. But those two big funding sources, which are not part of this item, are going down, and that's not the right direction for transit to maintain current operational levels. So I just want to make sure that that's there. And if you have any comment on why that's there, that's great. But I would propose that we strike that sentence from the guidelines and from the application.
May I ask a question?
Oh yeah, go for it, Jean.
The year that you're thinking that you might have to reduce service, then isn't it 26, 27? It would be 27, 28, or which year?
Sometime in 27, in calendar year 27, we will be reducing services. Even if we get this funding, we will have to reduce services because it's only a one-time funding source.
Right.
If it was an ongoing funding source that we could use every year,
Yeah.
that would be a different story. But even then, that sentence there shows that okay, this isn't supposed to be an ongoing funding source. And even if we did get it, we still have to reduce services because we have a $2 million funding gap. And even in the future, this funding source doesn't have that type of funding available.
Then I have another question for both you and Wayne, and I don't know if it would be helpful or if we wrap it in the guidelines at all. But aren't both of you doing your SRTP at this time? And
Right.
would that somehow wrap into maybe what the sentence is saying, instead of saying we're going to do it for a year according to what our SRTP says? I don't know how Wayne feels about that, or you do. It's just as
Right.
putting it out there for the group.
True. For Standard TA, we are in the middle of a short-range transit plan right now, but there's going to be a reduction in total number of service hours in the plan. The plan is just making those hours the most efficient as we can. But there is going to be a reduction in service hours as a whole for the entire system. So I get what you're saying though. But if there was more funding there, we could definitely increase the net number of hours and provide even better service than we do today. But it's just not there with the way the funding sources are.
Thought I'd throw it out there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Gene, to comment on that further, we've just awarded a contract to a consultant for a short range and long range transit plan. So I think the answer to the underlying intent with this question is that we're going to go through a planning process and identify the best way to leverage all of our resources to meet the greatest needs possible. But I do share Adam's concern with the way that this is worded and the way that it's in there, because it seems to imply that this funding source is only supposed to be used to start up operations and that it can't be used for ongoing operations. And as I read the ordinance, that's just not in there. And so I do see Measure L, while I realize we're not going to get this level of funding in future years, we're kind of playing catch up a little bit with what's there with the balance, that the intent would be to continue to use what we can to provide this rail connectivity service. So just the way that it's worded seems to imply something different than my understanding of the ordinance. And also, I'm a little concerned that because it's rated in there with a 10-point value, that if somehow you indicate that you do need Measure L support to continue providing the service, that you're going to lose points, which I feel like is counterproductive to the intent of the application. So I would be in favor. I'm not opposed to including language in there about, hey, here's what we're doing to make sure that our services are sustainable moving forward, even with reduced or potentially removed Measure L rail services support. But I'm not much of a fan of getting potentially penalized by acknowledging the importance of this funding towards funding operations, especially in the next year, kind of for the same reasons Adam outlined.
Thanks, Wayne. Any other questions from the committee before moving to the public comments? Okay. Okay. Is there any public comment? Mr. McMurtry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's just a small thing. It's funny how this entangles. Anyway, for the sake of Director Caceres, I just wanted to give you a little idea of what the Amtrak connections are through here. In this county, there are 2 train stations, one in far eastern Modesto and one in Denair, which I already talked about in my public comment. So I don't know if that's an opportunity, but okay. And the rail connects from Bakersfield, and it goes to Sacramento, but it mostly goes to the Richmond BART station, and that's more popular. So they run that a few times a day. The connections to Sacramento either run only once or twice. I actually use that connection because I go on Thanksgiving, I go to Sacramento. But because it's not popular, they downgraded a little bit. You would take the train to Stockton, and then there would be a bus shuttle that takes you there. And same coming back from the Sacramento train station. Most of the time, you'll take a shuttle to Stockton. So just letting you know, that's how things connect around. And of course, from Bakersfield south, you get shuttles to the Southland. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. McMurtry. Do you have any other public comment, either in person or online? Like Wayne and Rich are the only ones online, so we're probably fine. Sounds good. With that, I definitely want to thank Jose Luis and Jean for the presentation on this. Definitely appreciate your work on this. With that, if committee is okay, I'd like to make a motion to recommend this to the policy board to approve it with the following following changes. 1, to ask STANCOG to review the award criteria with the transit agencies, and then 2, to strike or remove the sentence in the project application to provide information on how your agency plans to sustain services without Measure L support. That's my motion. I wonder if I get a second.
I second that motion.
No, that's fine. Any concerns from staff on the motion, or any comments there? With that, we'll do a roll call.
Chair Barth,
Yes.
Member Rashid,
Yes.
and Member Sadil.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, everyone, for your support and for your work on this effort. It'll be great for Standard TA and Turlock as well, I'm sure. We'll move on to discussion item 5B, the draft of the fiscal year 26-27 unmet transit needs analysis report, 30-day public comment. Cassandra.
Morning. I know it's a lengthy one. Good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Cassandra Barrientos, and I'm the Associate Planner here at STANCOG. And today we're presenting the draft fiscal year 2026-27 unmet transit needs analysis report, and we are opening up the 30-day public comment period, which is beginning today. Next slide, please. So just for a little bit of background into the TDA process, it is required that we conduct the unmet transit needs every year, and we open that up for about 30 days for public comment and gather input from the community by doing numerous outreach initiatives. So just for some context into defining what a UTN is, it's a transportation need that does not currently exist. So that could be adding a new route, adding a new bus stop, things of that sort. But stuff that is not considered an unmet transit needs are trips which would duplicate existing transportation services and minor operational improvements or changes being addressed by routine/normal planning processes, such as the short-range transit plan and the long-range transit plan that both STAN RTA and Turlock are currently working on. Next slide, please. So like I said, every year we conduct the unmet transit needs process. So this is just a breakdown of how it occurs each year. So this year from November 12th to January 22nd, 2026, we conducted the public outreach to gather input from numerous jurisdictions here in the county. So we presented at numerous board meetings throughout the county that I think will be shown in the next slide. We also conducted a public hearing here at the STANCOG board meeting on January 21st at 6 p.m. And once we gather all the public comments, we will work on writing the analysis report, which we wrote the draft, and the draft will be open for 30 days. And once we close out the public comment period, we'll add any comments that the public seems necessary, and we'll bring that final report to the board, and they will approve it, and from there, we'll submit it to Caltrans. Next slide, please. There we go. So this is just a quick look at what we were handing out to throughout the county that gives a brief breakdown of a flyer that tells people what the unmet transit needs process is, and kind of giving them idea that it's transit to just get them to their medical facilities, personal appointments, to continue their education, shopping, and things of that sort. And we conducted presentations at all of these following places: here at the Social Service and Transportation Advisory Council on November 12th, the STAN RTA Board of Directors meeting, the Ceres City Council, Oakdale City Council, and so on. I know there's a lot of councils, but that's just a quick list and rundown of everywhere we presented during the public comment period. Next slide, please. So after closing the unmet transit needs, we received a total of about 20 comments, and we looked through them and we determined that there were no unmet transit needs that were reasonable to meet in fiscal year 2026 and 2027. A lot of the comments that were received were for services that currently already existed, and they just needed to be informed about it. They were suggesting operational changes that are also going to be looking to be addressed through the SRTP plans that the transit agencies are working on, or there were comments related to bus stop amenities and how we can improve those. So for now, as mentioned, we're going to be posting the draft unmet transit needs analysis report. It's on our website, and it'll be live for 30 days, so from March 31st, 2026 to April 30th, 2026. So once that finally closes, we'll bring back those comments and update the draft and finalize it, and then we will be presenting that to our policy board on May 20th, 2026. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. Excellent work. Does the committee have any questions on this item?
Yes, this is Khulud. I wanted to ask the link on the website. Is it here, the website on the documents, or can you guys email it to us so we could post it on our social media and share with consumers to get more feedback?
Yeah, it should be, the link should be in the staff report, but we can also work on emailing it to you members as well.
Thank you.
The report is this guy right there. That's the link. It's not there. I printed off it in my office, but there's a lot of good comments that are in there that STANCOG received
Okay.
for service ideas and service questions and operational things. So the report was provided to Stan RTA, and we've provided that actually to our short range transit plan consultants who are looking at ideas that are been provided here as well as part of our planning process.
Yeah, I think I attended one of the meetings and I had my team also provide comments as well.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so.
Any questions?
I have no question.
Okay, very good. We'll take it to the public. Do we have any members of the public like to provide comments? None, and nothing online, I don't think. So we can move on. Does this need a motion? No, it's just discussion. Okay, sounds great. Well, thank you for the great work on this process. I know you guys do a great job with it every year, and you continue to do a great job with this. Look forward to seeing any other comments that come in over the next month or so. Awesome. Thanks, Sandra. All right, moving on, transit manager and move reports. Wayne, would you like to go first?
Yes, I can go ahead and do that. All right, let's see here. So we are in the TDA claim process right now, obviously getting those claims wrapped up and getting ready to turn in to fund operations for an additional year. We have just awarded a contract, as I referred to earlier, with a consultant for a short and long range transit plan. So it's a combo project. They're going to do the short range transit plan element first, followed by the long term. The long term is going to focus more on bigger picture items, particularly the zero emission transition with our facilities and vehicles and all that goes into that. Just for the committee's general awareness in terms of timeline, we're looking to have a draft short-range transit plan completed by the end of the current calendar year. And so you could be looking for that to be approved somewhere in early next calendar year. But as part of that effort, we're going to make a robust effort for public outreach. And that's going to be all stakeholders. That's members of the writing public, but that's also any group that interfaces with us, any organization, including the folks that are here on this call. We really want to get a good understanding of what the needs are in the community, not just from our writers, but how can we be better partners with our partner transportation agencies. And so that is something that is we're looking forward to. It's going to occupy a good chunk of our time in the year moving forward. And the ridership, as far as that goes, continues to stabilize. So we had this period of kind of exponential growth over the period of the last few years, driven largely by students, but also other demographic groups. And so we're starting to see that plateau now. Still slight growth at times on fixed route, but we are looking for ways to how do we reach more folks? How do we continue to maintain that growth and maintain strong ridership in the face of these financial challenges, which we've referred to. And so we're continuing to explore all opportunities for that. So with that, I think that's kind of our main update for right now. Happy to answer any questions from the group.
I will do a report real quick too. For Stan RTA, we've talked a little bit about this, but the short range plan that we're working on, the consultant has proposed some route changes, and which includes a route reduction, and those are slated to go to the public for review and comment probably in May, maybe late May. That's the goal right now. So we'll be getting out to the public to get comment on those route changes, but just know that that's kind of our timeline. It's coming, and we'll see where we're at that point. Additionally, on top of the SRTP, we actually just received our first three hydrogen-powered buses. They're not in service yet. It's going to be a couple months before they actually get into service, but it's kind of cool. We have three hydrogen-powered buses that are here in Modesto now. They're in our yard. They look almost identical to our other buses. You can't really tell the difference other than on the side there's a big H2 symbol, if you remember chemistry. So those will be in service in the next few months. We're still waiting on the fueling station to be installed in the yard for the hydrogen fuel, but they are a zero emission bus, and it is required by the state of California, called the Innovative Clean Transit Rule from the California Air Resources Board, that all transit agencies are required to be zero emission by 2040 or so. We have 5 battery electric buses in the fleet today. But hydrogen has a better range than the battery electric buses do, meaning that they can go farther than the battery electric buses can go, but there's still zero emission bus. And so we went forward and purchased 3 of them, and to get started in down that road to see how they go, how they work, and if they're going to work well for our agency. It's one of the reasons, though, why we have a funding issue today is because the the buses themselves are super expensive, and the hydrogen itself, the fuel itself, is also uber expensive. And so we only have 3, so it's not as big of a deal, but as we go forward, it will become a major funding issue, as we will need to find a way to fund the electricity or the hydrogen to run these buses. So it's an issue that we'll continue to work through for the next few years as we continue to roll out our zero emission plan. So I just wanted to. It is cool to have the buses here and to get them started, but I didn't want to discount the other side of the funding issue that goes along with these buses. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of that as we move forward. Lots of questions. I think Jean was first.
I was just going to ask you, in comparison to diesel, what would you say the hydrogen, twice as much, 3 times as much?
Twice or 3 times as much. Our contract with the provider to provide hydrogen is at $15 a kilogram, but then you're going to ask me how many miles to a kilogram, and I just don't remember. So I'll have to get back with you on that one, Gene. Yes, Jose Luis.
I was going to say, I was going to ask one of those self-serving questions.
Sure.
Was SACOG a funding agency for your hydrogen buses?
STANCOG.
I'm sorry, did I say SACOG? Stanislaus Council of Governments.
Yes, so we received CMAQ grants through STANCOG for these buses, and we've had them for a few years now, and we ordered them a year or 2 ago, and it takes a long time to do anything. So, but yeah, for sure, we were able to use STANCOG funds through the CMAQ program. They're transferred from FHWA to FTA, and those were awarded, and we were able to use those funds. So definitely thank you to STANCOG for those funds to make that happen, and they're great. Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Jose Luis. Any other questions? Were there members of the public that had a question? Yeah, go for it, Ron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Mr. York, or just comment question. I wrote a letter to Rich Green about data gathering for bicycles. There was a comment made at the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Council about, what would help for the short-term planning of bike lanes and things. Is like, where do people get off the bike lanes and grab a bus? And he informed me that you keep track of number of bikes, but not where they get picked up and taken off. So I just want to make sure that he did pass that on to you. My main question, though, is I know Turlock Transit operates under the city of Turlock, but does Turlock Transit have like other meetings where public who just want to comment or whatever about Turlock Transit, or does that have to always be at a city council meeting?
So this is more public comment, but so we not question time, I guess, right now, Ron. So we can but if you like
he's online. I want to make sure he can answer my question. I'll say after.
Okay, that's fine, or just connect with him offline as well. Mr. McMurtry, that's great. Any other public comments on this item? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7, the management report. And I guess at this point, I can introduce the new executive director for STANCOG. Amber, if you want to introduce yourself. I think this is a STANCOG time to talk. So
okay, great.
Go for it.
Well, thanks for letting me join today. I just wanted to come say hello to this group. I'm used to it being called SSTAC, but STAC, so I'll say it right on this one. But yeah, Amber Collins, the new executive director of STANCOG. Super excited to be here. Yesterday was my first day. So just wanted to come say hi. And I think I spent 10 years in nearby Calaveras County, grew up in the Valley, was born in Colusa, about an hour north of Sacramento. So the Valley is home to me. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the team, and it's
Thanks.
great. It's great to have you on board. Awesome.
Very
good. We'll move on to member reports. Renee, you have anything to report?
I have nothing to report.
Very good. And Khalid, welcome to the committee as well. It's great to have you on board.
Thank you. Can I talk about Drill for now?
Yeah, for sure. It's
Okay.
your time to talk. Yeah.
So we would love to have you guys. Drill is having a partner agency. It's called the Program Spotlight, and it's the 40th anniversary for Drill. And it's April 23rd. I could email the link to register. It's for free. And it's basically we're going to have a few guests speaking, but it's about drill services and stuff. And so we're really, really excited. It's going to be at the Veterans Office. And we're hoping that we get a good turnout of different partner agencies so that this way we could continue to grow that no wrong door service of connecting people where they don't have to call a million different people and they could just call one person and then we could do the warm handoffs of whatever agency they call. And so we're really excited so you guys are all welcome to join us.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I'll send the link so that's way you guys can
Okay.
register.
Definitely. We'd definitely love to be a part of it. That'd be
Thank
great.
you. Oh, and is today the 31st? Today is the last day to register, so I'll send it today.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, we can adjourn. It's 10:45.
Oh, yeah, sometimes. Yeah.